Hi, I'm Rebecca, I'm the psych coach, and today I'm going to be talking to you about heartbreak, more specifically, how to heal your heart. Heartbreak is painful, it can be really enduring, and it's a feeling that most of us will have been through. There are things that you can do to try and heal your heart that bit more quickly and to try and help yourself get back on the road to recovery and feeling like life is meaningful again. I'm going to talk about 5 things that you can try and put into practice day to day to make yourself feel better. The key with heartbreak is knowing that it is a grieving process. There is naturally an intense period of mourning, sometimes that can go on for a really long time, but that eventually you will get better and life will have more meaning and be more enjoyable again. In the meantime, it is of course important that you do things that are meaningful in your life, things that you enjoy and things that make you feel like life is worth living, even if it feels like you're doing it with a heavier heart than normal. So tip number 1 is to look for the good in your life. When we're feeling bad and depressed and low in self-confidence and generally quite negative, we're wired to look for evidence that proves our theory that the world is a bad place, that we're not good people, that everything is against us. And the more you look for evidence to prove your theory, the more likely you are to find it, and the more likely you are to compound the issue that everything is really negative, or at least that's what your mind is telling you. Instead, try and look for the good in your life. It may seem that those things are trivial in comparison to the heartbreak you're dealing with, but recognise you have a good support network, recognise you have a stable job, recognise you have access to wholesome food, recognise that you can make choices about how you spend some of your time. All of those things are good things in your life, and you need to try and focus on them just to try and shift the balance a little between the intense negativity you're experiencing and the recognition that despite that, all is still relatively okay in your world, even if it doesn't feel particularly meaningful. Tip number 2 is to look after your physical health. It is incredibly difficult to have good psychological health if you're neglecting your physical self. You may not feel like eating, but try and eat a little bit. You may not feel like exercising, but try and keep your body moving. You may not feel like washing, showering, putting on makeup if you wear makeup, but try and do those things. Don't let your physical self go to ruin. You have a body, it's there to be looked after, and neglecting it is only going to make you feel worse. So do things that look after your body. Eat things that are good for you. Hydrate regularly. Put makeup on if you're going out if it makes you feel better. Shower and get into a routine of getting out of bed, showering and brushing your teeth and getting ready to face the day. Look after your physical self, because if your physical self is feeling neglected, that will make you feel even more negatively. Tip number 3 is to not have contact with your ex-partner, if possible. There are certain situations, if you've got children, pets involved, where that's not going to be possible. But generally, adhering to a no contact rule is going to help you get back on track more quickly. I've got a couple of videos talking about the no contact rule and the importance of maintaining it. Do try and stick with that, because you're going to prolong your heartache by trying to reach out and make contact with someone with whom you need to separate. If you have finished, you've presumably finished for a reason, whether that was the other party or you, or it was amicable. There's a reason why you finished, and you need to remember that. And even if your heart feels really heavy and you want to engage in contact with that person, because having them around feels more preferable than feeling completely bereft with them not around, you've got to think about what's in your long-term interest. Having your ex-partner around is going to prolong your heartache. So trying not to maintain contact is actually a really sensible thing to do. Another tip to remember is to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Again, it might not seem like it. It might seem that everything is really bleak, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. People recover from their heartbreak. People may feel as if their hearts are never the same again, but they still go on to live meaningful, fulfilling lives, and indeed at a later date have meaningful, fulfilling relationships. And there's no reason why that won't be the case for you. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and try and recognize that just because it doesn't feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, there is. Think about the people around you who've been through heartbreak. Perhaps there are celebrities, people that you follow that have been through heartbreak, who have recovered. You will be the same, so hold on to that. And that also brings me on to my 5th point for getting over heartbreak, which is remembering that there will be good days and bad days. If you're having a really bad day, being catastrophic and thinking to yourself, I'm not making any progress, I'm back at square one, I feel like I did when the relationship first collapsed, isn't going to be helpful. You're going to feel really, really desperate in those situations, and telling yourself you're not making progress, telling yourself that you're not improving, isn't going to help you feel better. Instead, you need to recognize that progress isn't just a straight upward trajectory, but it has its ups and its downs. It has its ups and its downs. You'll make progress, then you may have a bad day and you'll dip, then you'll get back on track, maybe you'll go out, meet some people, make some progress, and then you'll dip again. It is not the case that you will simply go from one day to the next, gaining strength, and never having a slip. Don't be catastrophic if you have a bad day. Bad days are inevitable. A bad couple of days are inevitable, but that doesn't mean you've regressed back to square one. Grieving is a process. Grieving is a cycle. There may be some days where you feel more accepting and you think, yes, I'm getting on top of it. And there may be other days where you slip back into the cycle and you feel like you're in the shock stage and the denial stage and you want to bargain with them and get them back, and then you move back into the acceptance stage. So it's a process. It isn't just a linear, you start here completely heartbroken, you finished here totally fine, and in between there are no dips. That's not the case. So do not be catastrophic when you have bad days. Remembering that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, not being catastrophic, looking after your physical self, reminding yourself of the good in the world and indeed in your immediate life, and not making contact with your ex-partner are the things that are really going to help you start feeling better. This is a journey. It's not going to be quick, but get support, speak to your friends, develop an online community, get support from your family, and allow people to look after you and let them in to help you get better and get over your heartbreak. You will recover. If you've enjoyed today's tips, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will give you plenty more tips on how you can use psychology on a day-to-day basis.